This video deals with items and importing them into Service Desk. Items or configuration items, CIs, are part of your enterprise environment. An item may be a physical entity, such as a computer or a router, a logical entity, such as an instance of a database, or a conceptual entity, such as an internet service. In each case, there are attributes about that item that you want to maintain. There is control that you want to have over that item. There are changes that may need to be made and tracked against that item. Also, to be sure, an item does not exist on its own. Items have dependencies and relationships with other items. In Micro Focus Service Desk, we define broad categories from which you can define types and then specific items which are instances of that type. For example, your laptop extends from a laptop type that extends from the hardware category. You can import items from a CSV file or create them inside Service Desk. There is another approach which is most commonly used. That common approach is to connect to the Systems Management tool and import items from that tool, including the metadata. In this video, we'll show an example of the Systems Management tool, which is Zenworks. Log in to Service Desk as an administrator. In the Privileges tab, as part of the admin portal, you have already configured the option to edit item numbers. In addition, enable the OpenID consumer and optionally enable the telemetry data. Telemetry data helps us understand and serve you better. Enable Zenworks remote control. This is for allowing you to remote control your device from the Service Desk technician portal. Now you're ready to configure your Zenworks import. Head to the Zenworks subtab and provide the details of the Zenworks server. Remember, this should have an HTTP prefix and include the fully qualified domain name of the Zenworks server. In the OpenID subtab, you can see the URL of the redirection request handler. Over at the Zenworks end, you now need to do the following things. You need to make sure that you register your Service Desk by following the steps as shown. Click on Configuration, Service Management, and add the details of the Service Desk. You need to import the Service Desk certificate. Once that is done, the next steps are as follows. You need to add an administrator from the Service Desk with bundle, device, discovery, and remote management administration rights in Zenworks. Usually, for smaller setups, the administrator for Zenworks as well as the administrator for Service Desk might be the same guy. If you have a setup where both are different, ensure that some of the rights which are required in Service Desk cross over to that from the Zen side. In this video, we have added Richard as that administrator. Back at the Service Desk portal, again in the administrator part, go to that of Zenworks import as shown. This is the wizard for importing items from Zenworks. You need to specify the identifier or hostname of the Zenworks server and then the database identifier that your Zenworks is using. You will also need to provide the database administrator credentials. In case you do not know the credentials, you can use the zman bpc command to obtain the credentials as shown. Provide the schema and catalog details as per your enterprise configuration. This wizard allows you to define the scope of import. You can have items imported and owned by everyone. However, this is not the recommended practice. If the intent is to do asset management along with following Service Desk's other processes, select the Import Ownership button in addition to that of defaulting to system user. Then, the wizard will import owners and default ownership to that of system user in case there is no ownership for the title. The wizard imports the GUID details of each item from Zenworks so that you get additional power dealing with the item through its life cycle. Next, select the set of items which you want to import. The best practice is to import hardware and bundles. Software selection imports the software inventory of each device and may bloat up the Service Desk database. You also have the option of auto-creating new items if a single item source is configured. If disabled, this puts the items in a staging area for later retrieval by the admin and specific creation of items later on. Now, once you are done providing the configuration, test your connection to the Zen database to make sure that you have provided the right details and then save the details. Hit Analyze. Service Desk will verify hardware, bundles, and bundle groups. Once the analysis is done, the details are stored. This analysis will take you back to the detail selection page. You will now need to click on the Zen server again, and this will show you the details of the hardware and bundles present in the inventory. For example, if you select hardware, you will see which devices are available. You need to select the teams. You need to choose to work on those set of devices. And you also have the option of having Service Desk create a system generated name or choosing to retain the Zenworks hostname. Now, click on Devices to begin selecting which set of hardware you want to import. After having made that selection, you need to click on Apply. You need to repeat the same process with that of bundles. You can choose Windows bundles and have the option to retain the bundle name that was given in Zen. The Create Relationships button allows you to map specific software and hardware together. Select this if you want to build relationship maps. Clicking on import begins the import of the selected items. You can check the alerts to view the summary and check for any errors during the import. Once done, go to the technician portal and then click on configuration. Like we said, the items are now in the staging area. Click on the AMI snapshot and you will see the items populated. Click on the ones which you want to convert into items in Service Desk and click on Create. Now, you will see these items in the items page with the owner listed. If you head back to the AMI snapshot and select the filter as unassigned, you will also see the bundles which you imported, the Windows bundles. The data imported from Zenworks, in order to make it a bit more readable, we need to edit the filter and create a new filter which shows bundle data in a much more readable format. The current filter names everything as a Zenworks bundle. In order to get the specific name, create a Zenworks bundle filter which shows you the detail of the bundle metadata, including the bundle name and any other detail which you require. Now, applying that particular filter will help you make more sense of the bundles which you have imported. For this particular filter, apart from the bundle ID, we can select the details as shown to make your filter for Windows bundles give you more data. This filter, when applied, shows you the data which is coming in from the Zenworks bundles itself. With the filter, this data is presented in a much more readable format. You can verify that the bundle data is the same as that from the ZCC bundles page. Verify the bundle name, the type of bundle, and any other metadata which you want to look at. Now, you can choose which bundles you want created as items and create them. In this video, we will select some of the free applications as shown and then move forward to create them as items in Service Desk. What you see here is the selection of the items, which are basically free applications. They may span across multiple pages. You have the option of seeing more per page. On clicking Create, you see that the item is created and the data is published in the right hand column. You have the additional option of assigning ownership of some of these free applications to everyone. How this is done is that the item is selected and ownership is assigned at the org level for those which were earlier under the aegis of the system user. This way, end users can raise tickets against specific applications like SAP or an Oracle CRM or HRM application when that specific application or tool is not working. This also makes it easier to track tickets against the organization as against that of the system user. Later on, it will also allow end users to see these items from the store, but that is in itself a separate video which we'll talk about later. Please note, for hardware items, there is one more thing which you need to do before you can start using them in workflows and other processes. By default, ITIL prescribes that the status of an item goes through multiple stages, and one of the initial stages when the item has been imported into the system is that of being marked as arrived. A system under actual use is usually in the deployed state. You need to select your hardware items and move them into the deployed state as shown. If required, you can view the product lifecycle for hardware in the category subtab under lifecycle as shown.